Hey everyone, welcome to PowerCore Presents Marvel What If Season 1. Season 1, Episode 4. Today's tale, it's a classic, you might say. Rich, young billionaire loses parents in a terrible tragedy, but learns to fuel that loss, to channel that rage and anger into something more productive. Suave, genius, philanthropist by day, but hooded vigilante by night. That's right, folks. Today, we're going to be doing What If Tony Stark was Moon Knight? In an alternate world, what if he never donned the classic red and yellow armor, but instead became the caped crusader of the night, a watchful eye over those who traveled under the light of the full moon, whose mind is warped and broken in the multiple shapes and forms, but still lies the heart of a hero. For all this and more, stay tuned as we now begin. What If, Season 1, Episode 4. What If Tony Stark was Moon Knight? As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. My name is Ralph Macchio. I'm a cab driver in New York. Sometimes people call me the Night Watcher because that's the only time you'll ever see me. I walk with a limp. That's a sports injury I got in my younger years. I could have gone pro. Would have loved to have played for the Yankees if I had ever gotten the chance, but such is life. I had cancer for a while, took the vision out of my left eye. Have to wear an eye patch. Sometimes people call me a pirate. It's not really that funny, but it is what it is. And I've got a little shake in my hand. Sometimes it makes it hard for me to hold things for too long, but therapy is holding me together. What do I do besides be a cab driver? Well, in the Big Apple, you learn to keep your ear to the ground. One of the best abilities that you can have is being unassuming. To everyone, I'm just a scruffy old cab driver. They don't give me a second thought. They come out from their parties, drunk, wild, all on each other, throwing up and spitting and doing whatever in the back seat of my cab. But it doesn't really matter. 'Cause loose lips sink ships. And they give me all the information that I need. There's a guy. I don't really know too much about him, but he pays me. He pays me really well. Write down everything that I hear, things that I see. I keep it all in a notepad. Once it gets filled, I'm given a new one. He even lets me live in a swank apartment. It's real nice. Although, people don't call it an apartment, they say it's a mansion. I have to enter in through the back. There's a guy, a doctor named Yinsen, or something like that. He lets me in, gives me the money. After I parked my cab far off, I have to take a train just to get out here. Must be where the rich folks stay at. I have a room and keep a photo of my mom and pa. After a long day's work, I go in to sleep. And I must be a heavy sleeper, 'cause sometimes days go by. My name is Tony Stark. Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. But you already know that. Though I imagine that there's a lot you don't know about me. For starters, I gave up running Stark Industries a long time ago. Or, I guess the better rundown, back in 1997, I sold all of my shares to Stark Industries. In the buyout, the only thing I demanded was keeping any of my father or myself's private work, as well as maintaining the rights to the Stark name. Family friend Obadiah Stane took over. He really wanted me to stay on board, live my father's legacy, help guide the technical boom into the next era, especially with what came after, with the war in the Middle East and all that. But you could say I had a different calling. After I got my money, I dipped from the public view. I donated to charity. I worked my money through stocks and bonds and other things, maintaining a high portfolio. I live a lavish life, a life most men can only dream of, free of any responsibility or worry. At least, that's just on the surface. There is one thing that keeps bringing me back, a calling, you might say. I came to realize something. This world, there are those who cannot defend themselves. There are those with power and those without. Those that travel in the night. Those in need of protection. I always thought that the way to protect the world was to have the biggest weapon. But I was shown the light. It happened when my plane was flying over Afghanistan and was mysteriously shot down. Ironically enough, the missile that landed in front of me, the words Obadiah Corp plastered on the side, as shrapnel was shot into my chest. I felt myself bleeding out. As my body was carried away under the cover of night, my dazed eyes looking upon the full moon, I heard a voice that spoke to me. A voice that told me I could be given a second chance at life, but only if I would serve it, to become the fist of a mighty God long since forgotten, a guardian of those who travel through the night. As I laid on a dingy operating table, a good man by the name of Dr. Yinsen attempted to save my life. The shrapnel was getting closer and closer to my heart. He was preparing to use a contraption, a magnet, to pull it out, when suddenly enough, almost as if divine intervention, the shrapnel became easier to pull from my body. It took a long time and I lost a lot of blood, but eventually it was removed. My chest was stitched up and I was in good health. No need for the giant magnet. The good doctor told me where I was. The people that kidnapped me, knowing who I was, they wanted my intellect. You see, when Obadiah took over, he formed a partnership with another fellow inventor and weapons manufacturer in Hammer Industries. Justin Hammer, along with Obadiah Stane, created the United Front. Obadiah Corp, Hammer Industries, they were the leading manufacturers for weapons made from the United States military. As such, those weapons, they couldn't fall into enemy hands, so the enemy decided to get a weapons maker of their own, even though I had long since been out the game. They thought that they could use me for their own ends, that I had something to offer. But they would be sadly mistaken. I laid low, regaining my strength, waiting to play my cards right. When the night finally came, I told the ensign to stay behind me. As I took dingy white cloth that was on the table, I wrapped it around my face. Picking up a socket wrench, I waited till the guard came to the door before shooting nails into his eyes. The lights were quickly turned out as the guards came storming in. Thankfully, the full moon was upon me. My strength had increased tenfold, something beyond human. It was slow, methodical, but I killed the guards one by one. Other prisoners were freed alongside myself. By the time the morning had come, our captors, they were the ones begging for their lives. I was able to get in contact with a U.S. base that wasn't too far off from our location. My friend, Colonel James Rhodes, personally flew by to pick us up. My assistant, Pepper Potts, trusted advisor, manages my finances and my personal well-being. She was grateful to see that I had returned. Of course, there wasn't much fanfare. By the time I had come back to the United States, a lot had changed. Not just in myself, but in the way of the world. New York even gained a new hero. Some masked vigilante, calling himself Moon Knight. They said that he fought like a man possessed, that he could tank whatever you could throw at him and that he kept going. Many people wondered who this Moon Knight was. From busting up criminal organizations to stopping petty thieves and criminals, robberies of high-end tech and everything alike. He definitely did have a way of capturing the tabloids. As for myself, I've acclimated nicely, even going as far as to be invited to a party thrown at Obadiah's mansion. I haven't talked to him in years. Thought that better to let sleeping dogs lie. But something's compelling me to go. I'm not sure what, but I'll know when I get there. The party at Obadiah's mansion was lavish. High-end socialites, those with influence and power in the military world, and even entertainment were all gathered together. Obadiah inherited the Stark fortune, in a sense. Of course, with Tony's buyout, he had a small fortune of his own, but Obadiah, he was left with the keys to the candy store. He would have liked to have gotten his hands on those late blueprints from Howard Stark or from within Tony's private workshop, but he figured he'd take what he could get. Alongside Justin Hammer, they had taken things to the next level. Their advancement in military-grade weaponry, it was top-notch, leading America to be the #1 defense force in the world. But they knew they could still go farther. When Tony arrived, Obadiah was overjoyed, seeing the man that he had raised kind of like a son. "Tony, the man of the hour! It's so good to see you!" "Nice to see you too, Obi. I've been trying to get in contact with you. I was so relieved when I heard that they had found you all the way in that desert, man. Yeah, it was really rough. How you been? Really?" "I've been fine. Nice to see what you've done with the old place." "Oh, this? It's not too shabby at all. I was surprised you didn't want to keep this place. It was in your estate. It was all yours. You didn't have to be generous." "Well, the buyout was more than generous enough. Besides, it's not like I'm much of a family man myself. I thought scaling down would be for the best." "Tony, I want you to relax. Enjoy the event, the atmosphere. But later on, there's something I want to talk to you about." "Yeah, no problem." As Tony walked around in the party, enjoying the company of those whom you would think were in his class, this was the one place he didn't want to be. But there was someone that caught his eye. A sweet little thing dressed in red. Her hair a fiery aubrey. Her lips looking like she had kissed a cherry itself. Her eyes fluttering back at him. As they gazed across the dance floor, he sauntered on over. Don't think I've ever seen you around these parts. No, I'm the secretary for Hammer Industries. My name is Natasha Romanoff. Nice to meet you. Pleasure is all mine. I hope I don't come off as being formal, but if you ever need another position, Stark Tower is always looking to have a helping hand, and I'd love to have hands like yours running behind the scenes. You flatter me, really, but I'm sure that you have all the help that you'll ever need, Mr. Stark. Still, I'll keep you in mind. Tony! I thought that group was out of style. Oh, come on, don't be like that. I see you met my lovely assistant, Natasha, Tony, Natasha. Hello, Mr. Hammer. Oh, please, come on. We're in a looser place. You can call me Justin. It's no problem. I will keep that in mind, Justin. I'm going to go to the snack bar. I'll leave you two to it. All right, thank you. Keep doing the good work. You're doing the good thing. Isn't she lovely? You sure know how to pick 'em, Justin. Don't I ever? You know me. I only roll around with the best. I don't settle for anything. Not in the job that I do. Still, man, it's gotta be crazy. You and a whole bunch of prisoners had to lead some kind of revolt to get out of a terrorist cell prison? That is insane. Yeah, it's not something I really like to talk about. I understand, really. You've already met with Obadiah, right? Yeah, you guys wanted to talk to me about something? Of course. I mean, we are all great minds, and it's not like we ever really get a chance to, shoot the breeze. Come on. I've got some good Chardonnay up in my private office, if you know what I'm talking about. Obadiah always likes to break out the good stuff. Come on. I know we got all night to party with lovely individuals. But for me and you, there's a whole lot more. I want to pick your brain. 10 minutes later, Tony found himself sitting on a couch as drinks were being poured. Obadiah, Justin, cozying up as they delved into past old times. Tony watching them subtly. Man, I told him not to go through with that. Seriously, Miami, we all need to go pronto, Justin said. Whew. That is the good stuff. The good life. So what's all this about? Tony would ask. Listen, Tony, when you sold the company, I gotta say, I really didn't think that you were making the wisest decision. I mean, I feel like you're letting that mine just go to waste. Of course, I was able to work with Justin here, and we've been, you could say, stagnating. Not necessarily stagnating, Justin would say. We're just at a bit of an impasse, that's all. Here's the deal, Tony. We think that your mind could be rather useful for something that we've got cooking, you know? And what exactly is that? We're building a team of like-minded individuals, all right? We want to take U.S. defense to the next level. Now look, what we had with what you left behind, that was good. Really good. But we really think that the notes, Tony, the notes that you left behind from Howard, we believe that they may contain something that we need. Something that could catapult us into the next century. I know that you didn't want to, and you know exactly why I can't do that. Look, weapons is your game. I respect it. It used to be mine. I can't judge you. It's how we made our fortunes, but I'm out. And with all due respect, I don't want anything that relates to war to have the name Stark attached to it. You don't have to attach your name to it. Look, we just want to pick the brain of your father. Surely he had something that was cooking up that he never got around to. And if you're not going to do anything with it, then there's no reason to just let it sit around and collect dust. I think that's exactly what I need to do, Hammer. You see, this, Tony said, lowering his shirt, showing the scars. I had shrapnel shot into my chest, courtesy of Obadiah Corp. Now, I'm not going to judge. You only make the weapons. Whatever happens once they go over there, that's on them. I get it. But I almost died because of you. And that's just me. I was lucky. There are so many other people who aren't lucky, who have to live in fear because your bombs get rained down on their houses. Your father was no flower child, Hammer would say. I mean, with all due respect, World War II definitely comes to mind. Whether you want to admit it or not, there are evils out there that we have to face. Things that you can't play nice with. We can either be feared or we can win. You have the keys to making that happen. Although honestly, personally speaking, I don't think we need you. Now, Hammer, Obadiah. No, I need to say this. Ever since our companies have aligned, we have seen growth like never before. We were fine without him. We'll be fine now. Okay? Sorry about the hole in your chest, Stark. But as far as I'm concerned, the only thing you're good for is your brain. Other than that, you do nothing. You hide around in the mansion, cutting yourself off from the rest of the world because you think you're better than everyone else. I'm not saying that at all. Well, it's what we see. Huh? You think you're too good for us? No. We're too good for you. One way or another. Everything will go our way. You're free to do whatever you want, Tony. But the world is going to pass you by, whether you like it or not. Tony would finish his drink and give his regards as he left the party for the night. The valet would bring his car to him, and he was preparing to go home. He wasn't one to use a chauffeur. He preferred to drive about by himself. As he made his way down the road, he noticed in his rearview mirror something was following him, moving on the rooftops. They were smart, not using a car. That way they could avoid being tracked. And the roads were surprisingly barren. Even for this side of New York, it was as if no one was around. As he came to a stoplight, a light that seemed to drag on forever, out of nowhere, an arrow would shoot onto the hood of his car. And an explosion would occur moments after. With the blood running down his arm, his suit coat tattered and burnt, Tony, once again in a life or death situation, found himself staggering into an alleyway, limping off as the figure in shadows would follow him. But by the time they arrived, no one was there. The figure sported a hood, dressed in body armor, a shield on their side, and a bow and arrow on their back. Their helmet, morphed like that of a skull, would begin to glow red, looking for the body, wondering where their target had gone. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a figure clad in white would appear behind them. I don't take too kindly to those who caused harm on my streets. The figure would backkick immediately as Moon Knight faced off against the assassin. As the two of them would fight, they found themselves to be evenly matched, though Moon Knight could tell his movements were being anticipated and at some points even being reflected back onto him. So they know how I fight. Or rather, they're adapting to me rather well. It got to the point that Moon Knight couldn't find a weakness. It was as if this fighter, not only did they know how he fought, but was able to mimic, copy, and reverse his own attacks. Well, that won't work. If I go with anything obvious, they'll see it coming. The figure even fought with its shield, similar to that of Captain America, as he had seen in films gone by. Using Cap style, various military martial arts styles, all embodied in one. With how skilled they are, they'll probably see everything that I have coming. Then I'll have to hit them with something that they won't see coming. Using a smoke grenade, Moon Knight would disappear, the figure looking around trying to see where he had gone. 10 seconds later, a hot dog cart was lunged right towards them. The figure would unsheathe their sword and cut the stand in half to avoid being hit. But this was just a distraction inside of a distraction. Because you see, martial arts can train you for a lot of things. But there's one thing they can't train you for: getting hit by a Mercedes. The car, or what remained of it, would be slammed right into the assassin's back. It was in neutral, and with enough force from a kick, the burnt, scattered remains would be flung towards the attacker. Even while hit, they had managed to run on top before lunging towards Moon Knight. But instead of dodging like one would expect, Moon Knight prepared to tank a sword to the face. You could say it was a game of chicken. A game of chicken that Moon Knight was good at winning. You see, the criminals of New York had been instilled with a sense of fear. Because Moon Knight was no ordinary masked vigilante. You see, you could shoot Moon Knight. Many people claim to have gotten shots off at him. Sometimes groups of people said they filled him with over 100 bullets. And did it stop him? Not a damn chance. Getting shot was like getting stung by a bee, and even then, there was no damage that was being done. It wasn't uncommon for the man in white to often leave a battle scene drenched in red. They called him Blood Moon Knight sometimes. And this assassin was learning firsthand what he was truly capable of. Moon Knight wouldn't let up. He took every punch, every hit, eventually getting to the point where he kept his arms behind his back. Oh, come on. I know you can do better than that. Ugh. You hit like a girl. Ugh. No, you don't hit like a girl. That would be an insult to women everywhere. You hit like a child. Ugh. Oh, please. If I had a kid, they'd hit way harder than you. Ugh. 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 Come on. I know you can do better than that. Ugh. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Come on. I said hit me. Ugh. 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 Oh, yeah. Oh, we got ourselves a real Muhammad Ali, huh? Come on. Float like a butterfly, sting like a... Come on. I said bring it. That actually dislocated. Yeah. Now, come on. This persisted for 30 uninterrupted minutes. The assassin throwing every kick, punch, combination that they could think of. But this guy wouldn't go down. At this point, Moon Knight was staggering on his feet, but still standing, his arms still behind his back. The mask, well, it was just tattered with splats of blood. Whatever he looked like underneath, it couldn't have been what he used to be. Oh, you... Oh, I think you gave me 2 concussions. Now, that's good. That's a good start, buddy. Nice job. You got a mean swing, Point Break. But, come on. I've been given way worse by people that did way more. You know, I once had someone break a sledgehammer over my... Ooh! Okay. Your free trial period is now over. Would you like to pay the $7.99 subscription to continue? I see we're doing piracy. Very well. Allow me to give you a rebuttal. Moon Knight grabbed hold of the assassin's arms and proceeded to headbutt the assassin over and over and over again until the helmet finally cracked. Come on! Huh? Well, you certainly are an erratic individual, aren't you? Who said... A tranquilizer dart would be shot right into his arm. No offense, I had to go with the elephant, Didn't know how much it would take to put you down. Huh? Put me down? Swan. What the hell? So, you're finally awake. I'm awake. Who are Agent Coulson? Shield. Shield. What's next? If you're a Shield, then where's Sword? Sword isn't here on Earth. It's connected. Wait, how do you know about Sword? What? Shield, sword, spear? I imagine there's gotta be a gun somewhere in this equation. Right. Well, Mr. Stark, this wasn't... hold on now. Who are you calling Stark? Are you serious? Dead serious. You got the wrong guy, sir. You see, I am not Stark. I've never even met the guy. My name's Steve Wayne. Private investigator. Some people call me Mr. Knight, at your service. You're kidding me. No. Look, you're an agent, right? You can check my files, I promise you. I am Steve Wayne. I have always been Steve Wayne. I will always be Steve Wayne. Coulson would begin his interrogations with Mr. Steve Wayne as Fury and Natasha would watch from the other side of the glass. Do you think he's messing with us? Natasha would ask. Hard to tell. Didn't think Stark would be someone from multiple personality disorder. But what if it's not? Whether it is or isn't, we've kept the Moon Knight on our radar for a while now, along with our other guest. You know her? I do. We came together. Her and I, she's a widow. A widow. The technology that she had working for her, neurotechnology, goes to the brain, allows her to copy any movement that she sees. It's his work. Taskmaster. He's been on file for a while now. I had Barton looking into him. But what does the Red Room have to do with this? The widows who pass, they're turned into taskmasters. So there's more than one? The original doesn't need technology. He can just do it naturally. But the others, they're trained to their max, and then they're given the programming. That's how it's always worked. I'm surprised you didn't take it. I didn't stick around long enough. So why do you think they were after him? Likely they were hired for a job. But who hired them? That's the important question. Well, I'm going to have a little talk with our schizophrenic guest. Look, I'm telling you, I am not Tony Stark. My name is... Yes, we know who you are. The door would open. Who are you? Fury. Nick Fury. Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, so you're the boss. Finally. Can you explain to him? Look, you guys are supposed to be the intelligence agency. You should know that I am your Steve Wayne. Born and raised in New Jersey. Served in the military. You have Purple Heart. Yes, you know me. I run a private investigating firm. You know, I find the people that go missing in the city. I'm the one that tracks down your criminals, your drug dealers, things of that nature. I even run a soup kitchen in Hell's Kitchen, for crying out loud. Khonshu's kitchen. Precisely. So I don't know where you get this idea that where am I? Where is she? I'll tell you both together. My foot. You're handcuffed to the chair. Didn't want you going crazy on us. Crazy? I'll show you crazy. If you don't let me out, I will chew my foot off. And then I will take my foot nub and I will beat you with it. You one-eyed. Get off of me. No. So who are we speaking with now? Coulson said as he pinned him to the desk. My name? I'm Stark. You're Stark. Can you tell by the look on my face? I am Stark, you bastard. And if you don't let me... Coulson, right? You have a lot of explaining to do. So, let me get this straight. You have 3 personalities. Tony Stark, Ralph Macchio, and Steve Wayne. You were given a second chance at life when you got kidnapped by the Egyptian god of the moon, Khonshu. And ever since then, you've been running around New York dressed in paper towel cloths. I'm a man of the cloth. A religious man, Fury would say. Look, I am not a bad guy. You sure about that? 'Cause I've got a list here. A list of people who are dead who would say otherwise. I am a guardian of the night. Those who try to harm innocents in the night, they will be punished. And you think it's your job to punish them? It is my duty. I am a guardian of those in the night. That is who I am. Well, Mr. Guardian of the Night, I hope you know that we can't just let you run around and put people in graveyards just because the moon tells you to. I answer to the authority of Khonshu. I do not answer to man. And if you do not release me, I promise you it will not end well for you. Here's a side note, pal. Even if you could get away, and that's a big if, you're currently thousands of feet in the air, over the ocean. So unless you've got the lungs of the god Poseidon on your side, like I would ever call on that fishy bastard. Well, that's besides the point. We'll have to chat at another time. Fury and Coulson would leave the room, leaving Tony all alone. Have you made any progress on the other one? He would ask Natasha. No, she's not speaking. But one thing we can confirm, she was going after Stark, or whoever the hell he is. But what could they want with him? Who knows? Billionaire? Maybe ransom? Kidnap? Perhaps they wanted to kill and take him off the board. Wait, you heard what he said, right? His story, Coulson would say. He was shot down, his plane, and the missiles that were there were from Obadiah Corp. You think Obadiah was trying to take him out? It could be. After all, when Stark left the company, he took a lot of its secrets with him, at least his and his father. Natasha, you spent over a year in Hammer Industries. What can you tell me about their operations? Fury would ask. Currently speaking, they're churning out new weapons like their new candy. Hammer might be smart, but I don't even think he's this smart to be making the weapons that he's producing, along with Obadiah. You think there's another source of where they're getting it from? Whatever it is, it has to be something that they don't want us to know about. They were trying to recruit Stark into whatever they have going on. What would they need him for? They've been making a pretty good fortune for themselves, Coulson would say. Whatever it is, we need to get to the bottom of it. I have a feeling things are only about to get worse. Coulson, you're going to go over to Stark Manor, see what you can dig up. But make sure you go inconspicuous. That is in the job description, sir. In the meantime, we're going to be keeping Mr. Stark here for a little evaluation. Natasha and Coulson would go on with their mission. Meanwhile, Stark was being held in the helicarrier. As for Hammer and Obadiah, they met at Obadiah Corp, heading underground to the bunker. Only few people had clearance to be in this area. What you didn't know was that the bunker was a special network of connected underground burrows that connected Hammer Towers along with Obadiah Corp Tower. Underneath in this passageway, men in yellow suits would be moving about. This was their pet project, Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM. And the crown jewel of it all, that sat in the centerpiece of their new world, a being whose mind worked like a computer. Through it, their fortune had been birthed. Once known as George Tarleton, a technician who sacrificed himself for the advancement of the company, now formed an immalleable blob, his brain growing to the size of a large body itself, held together, suspended in midair, tubes and wires protruding all throughout him. His mind was created from the DNA of the most intelligent of minds in their world. Of course, getting DNA from all of them wasn't easy, and in order to get the full use of what they could do, it meant some people had to go missing. Still, it was an effective job nonetheless. In the end of the day, this was for the betterment of mankind. So, what did you hear? Obadiah would ask as Justin came in, more frantic than ever. She's gone. She's gone. What do you mean she's gone? She's gone. I haven't been able to get in contact with her for the last 7 hours. Okay, calm down. No, you said that we were going to be able to hire someone who could take out Stark and deliver his head to us on a silver platter. We need his brain. We just need his DNA. Sure, the brain matter would have been perfect, but in the end of the day, blood will do just as fine. No. Look, you want to kill would-be scientists all around the world? Whoop-de-doo. But this is Stark we're talking about. If this gets linked back to us, it will not get linked back to us. Okay? Look, Hammer, we got what we need. So in the end, it doesn't really matter. Whether they're both dead, everyone's dead, we'll make sure that we keep it cleaned up on our end. But with Tony Stark, the crown jewel is finally complete. With the help of this, we'll finally be able to create what Howard couldn't. The arc reactor. Once that's done, we'll be unstoppable. You hear that, buddy? We're going to be putting you to work soon. We got a puzzle for you that needs to be completed. Can you hear me? Yes, sir. Though his consciousness can fade in and out, give him a little bit of a jolt. just to wake him up. There we go. How you doing there, Georgie? I'll repeat myself. We got a big project for you that requires that big brain of yours. The arc reactor is going to be the crown jewel of our industry. When Obadiah Corp and Hammer Industries merge to form Advanced Idea Mechanics, we will become the #1 weapons manufacturing company in the world. And once we do, we'll need to be in top shape for our buyers. People will be wanting this technology. The ways of war are going to change forever. Tony could have been a part of all of this, but you'll do just as fine. At least you'll actually do as you're told. The injection would be placed inside of him. Tony Stark's DNA, morphing along with his mind, the brain beginning to grow. Multiple mechanical parts would be added to compensate for the size as he grew bigger. Oh, God, it's disgusting. Disgusting is what makes us money, Hammer. Disgusting is what makes us money. You tried to kill me. What? Hey, is he all right? Sir, the mass of his brain has grown to an alarming degree. It's going to take us a while to keep him stable, and the ground beneath them began to shake as the eyes in his head began to roll. My name, Dr. Young Stark. My name. Your name. Why is he calling on about a name? Look, put some shocks into him. Try to get him under control now, will you? Increasing the voltage. My name. My name. Mental organism designed only for killing. 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 My name is MODOK. Sir, what the hell was that? Ugh! A metal pipe shot out, stabbing Hammer against the wall. Oh, that... That is not good. Shut this thing down now! Hammer would yell as he went running for the exit. Other scientists trying their best, but their bodies were lifted, crumbled up. The human form shaped and bent into ways that it was never meant to move. As Stain ran for the exit, punching in his pink coat to try to get out of there, others were yelling, screaming, begging for their lives. Hammer was in the elevator as it began to ascend, their cries becoming a distant sound to him. He began punching in codes for an emergency meltdown. It might shut down the city's power for a little bit, but it was worth it. Whatever the hell they had created, whatever they had tried to do, this wasn't it. Obadiah cursed himself. He had potentially killed his golden goose. Hammer was gone. Everything was gone. They were going to have to liquidate. He was going to have to find a way to get out of here as soon as possible. But before he could, the elevator would stop as a voice came through in the intercom. You tried to kill me. No, George, I did no such thing. George, come on. We go way back. Stop, George, damn it. It's not George. The elevator had gone up almost 30 floors before it began to free fall. George, please, George! It's MODOK. Obadiah's screams would echo as he fell down the shaft, crashing down to his death. For those who remained, the figure would begin to float, his chair pulling from the walls, hovering about. The people underground became fearful. The floating head, establishing dominance as their new master. Kill. Coulson and Natasha would arrive along with a few other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to Obadiah Corp. They had come due to the emergency distress signal that had been sent out by Hammer. Before he died, he had reached for his watch, which served as a form of communicator. Natasha had been given privy to such devices, and now with S.H.I.E.L.D. on the scene, it was time for them to uncover what was going on. Meanwhile, all the way in the helicarrier, Tony sat alone in his cell. In his mind, the three entities were fighting for control. He could feel himself losing it as Fury would approach the cell wall. You think you've finally gotten yourself together some, Stark? Silent treatment. Look, I don't know what the hell is going on with you. I've seen a lot in my lifetime. Aliens from outer space, gods from another world, gamma-irradiated monsters, men out of time. But you are something entirely different, mental. I don't know what the hell is inside of you. But I'd like to think that there is still within whatever you are a good man. A man that knows right from wrong. What I want to know is, what do you plan on doing? It's awake. What? Your agents. You sent them to Obadiah Corp. You shouldn't have done that. What? Why? What the hell is going on? What do you know? is awake. What is awake? It. Whatever they created, they used my blood to do it. They have created a monster. Fury, you've got to let me out of here. I don't have to do anything. You've got to let me out. I promise you, they're going to die. Fury! Before he could even debate, the door already opened. It took a while for me to hack through your inner systems, but I figured I'd get my way out eventually. Fury pulled out his gun, but Tony walked up to him, to the point where the barrel was pointed at his forehead. You gonna stop me? Take your best shot. But you're gonna have to empty out the magazine if you want to bring me down. He looked out to the window. The full moon was in force. On this night, the city needs me. I am its protector. I will destroy what they have created. For this is the will of Khonshu. Don't make me regret this, Fury would say. Without hesitation, Tony would grab the gun, shoot at the window, and run at it full force. He jumped out, descending into the grounds below over the city. Maria Hill would alert him to the window being damaged, as repairmen would be sent in immediately. Under the light of the moon, white banding cloth would wrap around his body as he began to glide and descend. A rumbling would occur. Natasha, Coulson, and the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents moving in, but it wouldn't take them long to find their assailant. The large floating head, now having an army under his control. AIM soldiers armed with high-grade weapons. It was time to do some killing. The shootout would become intense and bloody as MODOK would begin to float past his men. Their suits had been built with specially graded controls, his mind having power over them. As MODOK made his way to the surface, the people in the streets would see the large looming head making his way. They became fearful of his presence. With his telekinesis, he began to lift cars and shoot them about at people who took cover from the explosions that were occurring. However, the head would return to its senses, looking up as showering through the Moon Knight would lunge towards him, throwing his crescent moon darts. The darts would be caught in midair, stabbing into him instead as he crashed onto a truck. You. That's right. I'm the one you're after. It's not them. It's me. You are in my head. Of course. You were made from a piece of me, and I'm the strongest part. Kill. No kill. Kill! MODOK would begin to attack at Moon Knight, who took cover from his psionic blast. From out of the building, multiple robotic-like constructions would begin to slowly descend out into the streets. They looked like the old prototypes for the Hydra Stomp armor that his father had made back in World War II. With this being calculated into his mind, he had seemed to have created these things on the fly, planning to use them for his hostile takeover and murder. Moon Knight, however, would not shrink in fear. The power of the moon allowed him to persist. Using the blade of Atu, Moon Knight would slash away at the robotic monstrosities. But every time he tried to strike at MODOK, MODOK could anticipate his movements. He knew what he was going to do before he did it. He could read his pathways, every thought, every idea. Moon Knight kept being slammed over and over again by MODOK. Meanwhile, Coulson, Natasha, and the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents battled against the AIM soldiers. Being forced to fight under the control of MODOK, they kept moving even when every limb and sense in their body told them not to. At this point, they were fighting to the point of death, and even beyond. Killing them was the only mercy that could be given. On the surface, Tony was going out of his way to keep the people safe, to protect them from the dangers of MODOK. To the point where cars were slammed into him, light poles swatting him away like a baseball being smacked by a baseball bat. He was flying down the street. He could feel himself twisting, breaking, and yet something persisted him to keep going. MODOK knew everything that he could throw. So why would that stop him? MODOK would lift a car, attempting to squash him on the ground once and for all. MODOK expected that the logical thing for him to do, it would be for him to evade, and once he did, he would use another trap to pin him down and destroy him. But that's not what happened. Instead of dodging, he leapt forward. The car that had been flung at him, he stood his ground, and just barely, with the adrenaline racing through his veins, lifted the car and threw it back. MODOK, in response, would block with a car of his own. Using the chair, he had launched multiple missiles towards Moon Knight. Moon Knight would use the binding cloth of his suit to grab hold of the missiles and throw them back, forcing MODOK back onto the defensive once again. Every time MODOK tried to throw another weapon, it didn't work. He fought through it. He ran through it. He accepted it. He accepted the pain. Everything. This was illogical. This was incorrect. No. The logical thing to do would be to avoid, to duck, to take cover, not to take every hit that came at you. And yet he kept standing. By his calculations, his legs should have been broken in multiple places. He shouldn't have been able to lift his arms. He shouldn't have even been able to breathe. So how? How could he do it? That's what you don't understand about me, MODOK. What I do, you can't anticipate. What I am the fist of Khonshu. Why would the fist of the god ever turn away to the whims of man? Do you know why I dress in white? MODOK tried to come up with an answer as Moon Knight got closer. I don't need to hide. I don't stay in the shadows. My light, like the full moon, shines upon you. For hope to the victim and as a warning to my enemies. I wear it because I want you to see me coming. After getting close enough, Moon Knight would land right under the hover chair. As he punched it with his fist, he punched, tearing away at the shrapnel, tearing away at the plugs and the wiring, forcing him to fly out of control. MODOK would begin to fly and spin into the air as Moon Knight would throw a crescent moon dart, slamming it right into the access panel, causing him to explode. Chunks of metal, blood, and brain matter would spew all over the place. By the time Coulson and Natasha had seen what had happened, well, safe to say no one was going to be holding in their lunch that day. Moon Knight simply sat on the ground as he fell to his knees and raised his hands. This victory I dedicate to you, Khonshu. May your light guide me. Fury had a decision to make. The Avenger Initiative. There were many candidates to consider for this position, and then Stark's name came up. He's insane, psychotic, delusional, schizophrenic. He's unhinged. We can't trust him. And yet, he gets the job done. Sir, you can't be serious. We don't know what he is. You really believe that he has the power of a moon god on his side? Moon god, Norse god, take your pick. Whatever fuels him, it's not from this world. Meanwhile, Tony would arrive home. He had had a long night out. Dr. Jensen preparing his bath and his meal. A long night, sir. Yeah. There are these thugs trying to mug a single mom trying to get home. They sound rather dubious. Yeah. But they won't be causing any trouble anytime soon. You also had a missed call, sir. Agent Fury? I'll handle it later. Right now, I really want to get some sleep. I will make sure you are not disturbed. Time to drift to the sleeping lands. Arise, my avatar. Can't you? Oh, you really have to invade even in my dreams? We have much to discuss. You must return to the homeland. Those are arising to defy me, and my justice must be carried out. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to take my nap. I'll deal with whatever is in the morning, but that is not all. What else could there possibly be? I'm pretty sure you can have it handled, or any of the others can have it handled, and does your insolence know no bounds? You are the guardian of the night. You avenge those who are wronged in the dark. And yet your own blood cries for vengeance. My blood. What do I have to avenge? Father, mother. They were killed in the cover of night, and yet you do not avenge them. What the hell did you just say? They died in a car accident. They were killed. And the man who has their blood on his hands still walks this earth. Like hell! Oh, Khonshu, you desperate son of a bitch. You really expect me to believe that someone killed my parents and that they're still alive? They are. Go to the homeland. Strike down my enemies. And I will tell you the man you must seek. You are a sick, twisted son of a bitch. But fine. We'll go. And I'll take out whoever you want. But when I'm done, you better keep up your end of the deal. You got that? The master bedroom door would kick open. Mr. Yinsen looking on as who faced him was the Moon Knight. Change of plans. Pack your bags. We're going to Egypt. I take it you won't be taking that nap, sir? No. I don't think I'll be sleeping for a while. This concludes What If, Season 1, Episode 4, What If Tony Stark Was Moon Knight? As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned next time as we continue with PowerCore Presents Marvel What If Season 1 Episode 5. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm J. Ron Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.